We're all trapped inside right now. That means online schooling, online doctor's visits, and online haircuts. One of those doesn't work yet. And if you're stuck inside, sheltering at home right now with a man, it's only going to get worse. My hair is going to get so much bigger, and so is your man's. Eventually, I'm going to look like that cartoon character, Johnny Bravo, or like I'm a member of the rockabilly band, the Stray Cats. Do you remember them? I feel like I'm going to rock this town, maybe rock it inside out. I'm going to rock this town, make it scream and shout. A few days ago, my wife Jenny said, "You haven't been doing Zoom calls today, have you? Your hair is out of control." And I said, "Nope. I've been using Morse code instead of video calls." They take longer, but they're a lot easier when I have a meeting with a ship. Of course, I've been doing Zoom calls. So have you. So what are you, the partner, the girlfriend, the wife, do in this dire moment? You cut your man's hair, right? I mean, what other option do you have? Fortunately for you, I've created the complete guide to cutting a man's hair during a pandemic. I was going to call it the complete guide to cutting a loved one's hair during a pandemic, as if there was a shot that some man in anywhere in the world would be cutting his wife's hair. But come on, dude. If you think my wife is letting me anywhere near her head with a pair of scissors, you are out of your mind. Women are far too smart to let an unskilled, untrained man cut their hair. The only time I think that happens is when you live on a tiger farm in Oklahoma. If you're into owning multiple tigers, none of the rules of life apply to you. All bets are off. The most surprising thing to me about the show Tiger King was that Joe Exotic lived in Oklahoma and not Florida. I just assumed that once you owned multiple tigers, the state of Florida made you move there. I don't know if that's done at the federal level or the state level. I don't know tiger law very well, to be honest with you, but I am an expert on cutting a man's hair during a pandemic. And I'm also generous, which is why I created a special guide just for you. It's called the Complete Guide to Cutting a Man's Hair During a Pandemic. Are you ready for it? Take out a piece of paper, get ready to take some notes. Ready? The Complete Guide to Cutting a Man's Hair During a Pandemic. Step 1, don't. I paused there so you could write it down because it went fast. Do you want me to repeat it? Okay. I'll repeat it if you promise to retain it. Ready? Here's the Complete Guide to Cutting a Man's Hair During a Pandemic. Step 1, don't. Now, you probably have some questions. Well, wait a second. Why shouldn't I cut a man's hair during a pandemic? Well, there's 4 simple reasons. Number 1, marriage counseling is very expensive. If I was a therapist, I would sell a 47-second counseling session via Zoom right now. The couple would tell me their names, and before they could even tell me their problem, I'd say, wait. Let me ask you a question. Did you cut his hair? And if the answer was yes, I would read them my guide, my 1-step guide, and then send them on their way. Cutting hair when you've never cut hair before is the equivalent of trying to put together IKEA furniture with your spouse, only instead of an Allen wrench, you use a stick of butter. Don't do it. Number 2 reason you shouldn't cut a man's hair during a pandemic, we're all getting slightly uglier during the pandemic. Inside, on the heart level, you might be getting prettier during this crisis. I, much like Christina Aguilera, am beautiful no matter what you say. That song was always so funny to me. Like, no one was telling Christina Aguilera she was ugly. Like, we all agreed, like, no one was saying you're not beautiful. Like, that was universally agreed upon. Whatever. But let's be clear. On the outside, no one is emerging from this lockdown better looking. We're all going to emerge a little bit heavier, a little bit wrinklier, a little bit paler. Oh, the sun, it burns my skin. We're not expecting your man to look amazing right now. We're not. My wife keeps showing me Instagram influencers online who are teaching followers how to remove their eyelashes and deal with roots and bemoan the lack of access to Botox. It's okay for your man to look a bit like an old prospector right now. Number 3 reason that you shouldn't cut a man's hair during a pandemic, no one can fix it if you make a mistake. We've all cut our kids' hair before, right? What do you do when you mess up? You take the kid to a professional and you sheepishly admit, I thought I could do bangs, but I made my daughter look like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber, just like this. Can you please help me? Guess what you can't do right now? Have someone fix it. You'll have to see your mistake every day for at least the next month while we're sheltering at home. Is that what you want? Some lopsided mountain creature lumbering through your kitchen with your MacGyvered haircut? Number 4 reason you shouldn't cut your man's hair during a pandemic. Where does it end? I love that you bought some suburban chickens and are now calling yourself a farmer. I love that you're homeschooling and now calling yourself a teacher. But this is a man's head we're talking about. Do you know how people say men are judged based on their watch and their shoes? That's only if their head isn't all jacked up because you thought you could blend his hair and now the top is really short and the sides are really long and he looks like John Quincy Adams. Where does it end? You're going to buy a Dremel and start doing dental care? I think I could take care of that cavity for you. I've got an attachment for that. Now, I should say I'm not above making exceptions to this rule. I'm not a monster. Maybe there are some exceptions, and I'll tell you what they are. Number 1, if he's got a military haircut and you can just buzz it. If it's one of those haircuts that you can do really simply, that you've been doing for years, go for it. Number 2 reason you can make an exception to this rule and do some maintenance is if his neck looks like he's wearing a sweater. Beards are for the front of your face, not the back of your neck. You look like Daffy Duck when Elmer Fudd would shoot him and his bill would spin all the way back around, except that your beard that spun all the way back around. It's not a good look. Do some maintenance. Number 3, around the ears. I still think you're dancing with the devil a little bit, but it might be necessary to trim around the ears. I think Jenny's going to have to do that for me. And number 4, sideburns. I'm like a week away from looking like Ebenezer Scrooge and throwing a farthing to a street urchin so that he can buy a fat Christmas turkey for his family. I'm going to have to do something about this. The last exception to hair cutting during a pandemic is so outrageous, I didn't even put it on the list, but I think it's the most important part of this video. It's the reason you're going to share this video. It's the reason you're going to send this video to somebody. It's the reason that every man on the planet needs to watch this video. Men of the world, what is going on with your nose and your ears? Nothing says I give up like looking like a walrus or having scrub brushes stick out of your ears. I can tell one of 3 things about your marriage or your dating relationships if your nose and ear hair are out of control. Number 1, your wife can't see very well. Maybe it's a vision issue. Like she just can't see what's going on. Number 2, you're not spending enough time together. Number 3, your wife doesn't want to hurt your feelings. To that 3rd point, if you're a man right now and a loved one sent you this video, it's probably because they wanted me to be the one to break the news to you. This is a cry for help. You have the nose and ear hair of a much older man who is also deeply into model trains. Your family loves you, they do, but they're worried, you know? They want you to order a hair trimmer on Amazon and we'll never talk about this again. Was this the most helpful thing you've seen on the internet today? Probably. The pandemic is already stressful. Don't make it worse by thinking you're a hairdresser. Give your man a hat and move on. We'll get through this together. I promise. Thanks for watching today, guys. Follow and subscribe and like on YouTube. Just look me up, John Acuff, Jonacuff. Have a great rest of your day.